Hi folks, you're with Tassus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how the elites, the wealthy elites, less than 1% of the Western population is wealthy enough to buy or pay for their immunity from all the effects of the globalist policies being forced on us. So they're not going to live in areas that are affected by mass migration of black and brown peasants. The COVID lockdowns, if they even affect them at all, are going to be extremely minimal. If they've got the right contacts and they've got private jets, they can still travel wherever they want to. The effects of climate change policies that are going to screw and horribly screw the working and middle classes in the West, they're not going to be affected by that. So what if their electricity bills double it just isn't going to affect them. They've just got too much money and they can buy their way and pay their way out of any inconvenience that may be placed on them. So there's nothing that's going to really cause them much angst. And I know a number of people that are wealthy enough to not have to worry about any of this stuff and scoff at people, sneer at people that do worry about it. They're all Nazi, fascist peasants and that sort of thing. So I just want to go through a few examples of how people who are wealthy and or well connected can immunize themselves. Just a couple of examples in say a divorce. Now there's a very senior union official that got divorced, and he pretty much gave the house to his ex-wife, and then she was a stay-at-home wife, but then they gave her a special consulting job in the union if she would keep quiet and not make a fuss and create difficulties for him. And it was quite a well-paid job. She didn't do anything. It was just a salary arrived. She was mysteriously listed as a consultant on $100,000 a year and had use of a union-paid car and that sort of thing. But he'd lost his house, and the union officials, so they arranged for him to have all these extra jobs on the side, consultancies, and all sorts of things. They to make sure his lifestyle didn't suffer one whit. They gave him overseas trips, study tours, of course, all paid for indirectly by the taxpayer. So he was able to, within 2 or 3 years, really recover all the wealth that he'd lost by losing the house. In fact, he's in a better position, and so he was very well looked after, very well cared for by the same people who support globalization, by the way, and support the sort of policies and social engineering policies. So he was fine. Now contrast this with, say, an ordinary middle class guy who's got only his own skills and time and labor to sell. Then he gets divorced. He's fucked. He's lost his house. He's not going to. There's no way he's going to. If he does try and make more money, then his alimony and child support will just increase. So he's not. It's impossible for him to get ahead. So he's finished now. This policy of breaking up families. The much hated families that the globalists and the leftists hate so much. The communists hate. All it does is screw guys like him, who otherwise would have done all right and retired in comfort, and they would have done okay. But now the guy's screwed. But the wealthy guy or well connected, again, they're immune to it. Now here's another one. This was a government guy, reasonably senior government, got divorced again. A nice house, all had to go. But then again, the machine looked after him and said, okay, well, you've lost all that money, you lost all those assets, but we'll make sure it all gets made up to you. So again, they use taxpayers' money here. Why not just stop the destruction of families? Why not look at that as a possible solution? There's no. Destruction of family stays, but we just look after the people we like and people we think are important, and make sure that they don't suffer, that uniquely they don't suffer from this sort of thing. So they gave the guy all these extra positions on committees and gave him ostensibly a job at very tame, law firm that they controlled, and he had a mysterious job again as a very, very well-paid consultant, but with a very vague. He kind of didn't seem to have to do anything or go there. But again, in a few years, he was right back, sort of doing very nicely, thank you, and his income would sort of jump from about 270,000 a year to around 950,000 a year for a couple of years, or 3 years, I think it was. So he was right back in the game with that. He got a very, very favourable loan on a property. Then he was able to sell it for an extraordinary profit and this sort of thing. So clearly it's a rig. It's a crony economy. Let's call it what it is. It's a crony economy, and so he was able to just ride out the whole thing. It was not even a blip on the radar as far as he was concerned. May destroy other people financially for the rest of their lives, but for him, and a guy sort of about 50, I guess. And when you're that age, it's very hard to make up a huge loss, such as loss of your house and half your retirement income. But no, they looked after him, and again at taxpayer expense, he was put right back where he was. Now the same can be said for, if you look at the COVID, look at all those clowns that are going to Glasgow in Scotland at the moment for the big Gab Fest. On their private jets and 80-car motorcades and lecturing the rest of us about climate change. And there's that retarded kid from Sweden, Greta, or her name is, and people listen to her. The world's gone mad, seriously. But these people, they're not affected by the price of energy going up, or if maybe energy's not available. I've been to third world countries where the energy, the electricity goes off quite frequently, and all the first world 5-star hotels all have their own generators, a bank of them and you can hear all these diesel generators start up as soon as the electricity goes. So there's this sort of the flashing of the lights, then that's the mains power going off, and then as soon as that starts, the generators kick in, and then the lights go back on again. So now to afford all the accoutrements and infrastructure, so that the climate change policies don't affect you. So you've got 24/7 power and all this sort of thing. Then you need to have a certain amount of cash to do it, and these people have that, and they've got it in spades. So they're completely unaffected by it. Their businesses are unaffected, their houses are unaffected, their holiday, vacation homes are unaffected, and so on. So, and there's some, just again, people that I know who have got this huge mansion house, and the entire roof's covered in solar panels, and they've got all these water catchment tanks and so on. So they're pretty much, well, not pretty much, they are energy independent, and just to back up in case, they've got quite a large diesel generator. They've over-engineered the requirements so that if they had to have every appliance in the house on at the same time, they've got a generator that can kick out enough power to cover it. So again, these are people who aren't going to be affected by it, and even if they are, it'd be such a minor inconvenience that they'd barely notice it. So, and there are various other sort of aspects of like the mass migration. If you live in an area where the starting price of houses is $2.5 million, then you're not going to have problems with peasants being your next door neighbours and shitting in your front lawn, or urinating in your flower beds or something like that. So these people are immune from that, and the land plot's usually pretty big, so they keep their privacy. On top of that, they can afford security. So if any undesirables do start hanging around, then they can pay for security company to come along and move these people along, and so on. So again, they're separated from it. They don't have any of the problems in having to deal with this sort of thing. And not everyone can afford security. particularly not the sort of security that maybe drives around once every hour and these sorts of things. So their wealth allows them to really, the globalist policies that are so injurious, so destructive to everyone else. They're pretty much unaffected by it. Or the increasing of black and brown people as black lesbians into universities and giving those positions away. All they're doing is taking those positions, college positions, away from bright middle-class kids, because the well-connected and rich families can make an endowment to the university to make sure their kids get in no matter what. But it's the middle-class kids who are just there on merit alone. They can't do it. Their parents don't have that sort of money to throw around. Once the merit factor is taken away, which it is being all across the Western world right now, then all it does is screw primarily the middle class, but also any bright kids from the working class as well. They're also, if they're white, they're also affected. And then low IQ, lazy brown and black people are being given these positions just because it looks good from a wokeism point of view, but more than anything because the globalists realise that they have to crush the white West, and they have to grind them into the dirt and rub their faces into the dirt if they're going to get the globalist project completely locked in. And so this is why they're doing it. It's got nothing to do with climate change. What bullshit, or any of these other things, such as equity. That's crap as well. So, and this idea that if we don't do something, that the world's going to end in the next 5 minutes, that is utter nonsense. But it's a globalist play, because that's what all the Western governments are saying at the same time. So it's bullshit. Not that many people. That many people could never be that unanimous. So, all having the same apocalyptic view of things and all with the same prescriptions. It's just total crap. But that's it. So that's how the wealthy are able to immunize themselves from the effects of things, and while the rest of us can't. You've been with Tastos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.